Good evening, everybody, and welcome to, I believe, what is the 48th Comic Art Live chat. So it's a fine evening here in Northeast Ohio. I hope wherever you're at this evening, you are enjoying the night, and welcome to the show. So very busy day here at CAF HQ, but I'm happy to be ending it on a fun note and talking with a longtime friend of mine and acquaintance in Northeast Ohio as well, Simon Miller. So I'm going to bring Simon into the chat this evening. Hey, Simon, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Bill?
Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, this is, like I said, I love ending my workday with something fun. So Tuesdays are the night I definitely always look forward to. So very, very relaxing. Get to learn a little bit more about people in the hobby, and we get all the people in the chat. So make sure you're on the comments tab too, by the way.
I just moved it over. All
right. Awesome. Because, yeah, everybody gets in here early and gets to talking. So I see we got Mikhail and Mr. Easy Go Lucky, and Mr. Red Jack is always in there early, letting everybody know if you're new to the chat to definitely introduce yourself. So yeah, it's good to have everybody here. So Simon, heck, we've known each other for quite a while. I mean, I think I met you like at least 12 or 13 years ago here in Northeast Ohio, and I didn't even know you were here when we first were talking about, with your website. And I think we met over at the mini golf and things. So, how long have you actually lived, in Northeast Ohio? Kind of what's your background for why you came, why you're here?
Well, I mean, that's a longer story. Well, not longer story, but that's like multi-part. So I'm not originally from Northeast Ohio. When I first moved to America, I'm originally from London. I moved to New Jersey. So maybe when I first was emailing with you, for some reason, it could have been I wasn't in Northeast Ohio.
Right.
But I've been in Northeast Ohio since 2005. So America, 18 years, but Northeast Ohio since 2005. So I remember the question, but basically, my wife is from the area. So when I originally moved to America for work, and then I'd met my wife previously. Things got on, very well with us, so decided to stay here. And because she's from the area, that's where we're at. So a couple of cities over from you.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's good to know. I always wondered. I've never gotten to know that. But so all right. So knowing how we start these shows, usually it's kind of the origin story. So I know you've collected for a very long time, and I think I mentioned on Sunday when I mentioned that we were going to talk with you. You've got one of the oldest accounts on CAF. I mean, again, I had your window open earlier. You're under ID number 150, so that means you've been on CAF for quite some time.
Yeah.
So I imagine you've been collecting for a lot longer than that. So kind of give me the background story on your history in the hobby as far as an art collector.
So it starts in London. So basically, when I was old enough to go into London by myself, and I was a comic reader from very young. Apparently, my parents were pushing me to comics because it would get me to read something, and anything was good enough from what they were being told. So I went to the comic shops in London, and one of the comic shops was Comic Showcase, and they had original artwork in the basement. So I think that was the first time I saw it. I didn't buy it the first time I was there, but it kind of got me thinking. And I think my first purchase could have been from there, or it was from eBay when I started when I started having dial-up and could start looking around there. So it was, early 2000s. So I wasn't in the late 90s like some of the people who really kind of did very well. I was also very young in the 2000s. So didn't have a massive budget. So what I bought was, nothing pages, just examples. And I started doing that a lot. I spent a lot of money buying not very much to show for it. I picked up a nice Mike MIGNOLA page. It was from a Ray Bradbury, The City page. It was The City, but it was Mike MIGNOLA, so it was great.
Sure.
And I picked up a few other things. One of the very first, maybe the first piece I did buy was a John Bolton Wolverine page from the classic X-Men backup stories, and I still have that. But I kind of see it as my first purchase, but I don't know that it is. But basically, so yeah, it was going into London, kind of discovering that, then being able to get the internet once I moved out with my parents. Once I kind of started working, then I had the internet, and then I started looking, and I found people like Tom Fleming at Fanfare, Jim Warden, Mitch, Graphic Collectibles, and I was just buying little bits, and Albert Moy, not buying masses and buying lots of small things. I think when I started buying from Albert, it was more expensive purchase. It was $300-400 purchases, but otherwise before that, it was all very small purchases that, you know, I had money, spent it, and regretted it at some future point.
Right. Right. No, I hear you. I hear you. I like what Rich says. You know, Rick says nothing pages then are something pages now.
Yeah, and yeah, and it would have been nice to still have some of those pages just because of the nostalgia of, you know, the purchase. I do wish I had that Mike Mignola page. It was a nice page. It had all the nice brush strokes that you associate with a Mike Mignola original. But I bought it. I sold it. Sorry, to get something else. What that something else was, I couldn't tell you. Do I still have it? Probably not.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I look back on my early collecting days very much the same way. I had a lot of nothing pages, but yeah, went through the same dealers that you did. I met Tom Fleming very early. He was probably one of the first dealers that I met at a show, and yeah, I mean, so we kind of probably had about that same circle of dealers and people that we were buying from, and eBay as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was funny, you know, the eBay thing. I mean, there were so many things that were going on. There was so many examples of everything that I wanted, but it was all too expensive. And again, I was buying lots of $100, $200 pages. And when I say lots, I mean I'd have a bit of money, and then I would spend it on that. And then when the really good stuff came up, that I'll get that later. You know, I'm not ready to spend that kind of money. Then they just don't come up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're all gone to homes that don't want to let them go, just like my home is now.
Right. No, I get it. I get it. There's definitely that. Well, I don't know. I see that in my collection as well. There's certain things that I've got that I just would never let go because I don't see how I could replace them. You know, and I've looked over your collection many different times, and we'll be able to look at a lot of cool pieces from your collection. But you know, there's pieces that I've seen there for quite a while, and you know, you've got many pieces of distinction, you know, by certain creators and with certain titles that. You know, it's a very admirable collection and well curated. You know, when I look at it, it hits so many different spots, and you know, it's not a very limited focus. You really, you know, I can see you have a broad focus on the writers and the artists and you know, and the stories and the titles, and I appreciate that, you know, because it's, you know, you're just, I don't know. I'm not like that. You know, I'm very fixated, I think, on just 3 or 4 titles, and while the artist might vary, I don't spread my wings through into books and publishers. Yeah.
And I think that was, again, from my early things, what I was buying was, oh, cool, that was a nice thing page. I'll get that. That's a nice whatever page. And it wasn't from a book that I had read. It was just, cool, that's a competent artist. That's a character I like. It's, you know, and then I would buy it, and then it wouldn't have the meaning. So I think what you're saying is exactly like the things that I have now and I've had for a while are when I worked out, when I learned, you know, I paid my dues, learned my lessons, and now I've stuck, you know, I've got the A or B examples, whatever way you want to, you know, everyone's perspective is different, but for me, they're A level, or some of them are absolute B level, but I'm really happy with them. They scratch the right itch. They're from the right bit of nostalgia. They show the right technical chops, that, you know, the page layout, the dialogue, whatever it is. That's what, you know, means more to me than the just kind of scratch, you know, checking a box that I didn't actually really care about, but it was just, well, it's a Marvel comic or it's a DC or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't last.
Right. I mean, you can look at a good Bermejo and pass up on it because you've got good Bermejos, you know, and that's something that a lot of, you know, that's something that is problematic, I think, for some collectors who might feel they have an average example by that. I'm just using him as an example, but you know, you can pass up other ones that are equally as good because you know you've got, you know, some very, very good examples from him, and that's cool. You know, that's a great place to be as a collector. I think when you there's a level of satisfaction on certain things. You know,
yeah. It's a funny that you mentioned Bermejo as an example, where I feel like I do have a couple of A level, but when I was recently given the chance to get another one, I didn't pass it up. I probably should have done, because I do have really good examples, but now I have 3 really good examples.
Well, there's some artists where, you know, and like Michael from NSM would say, you just want to have one more, right? Sometimes you can't pass it up when you see one that's that quality, and you know, and at the price you're expecting to pay. So I totally get that. But so early on, though, I mean, I imagine by the time you started dealing with Albert Moy, because I bought a few things from Albert over time, but I always felt like, you know, him and Mike, I didn't gravitate to them early. You know, I was hitting a lot of different places, and especially eBay before I got to them. I felt like those were the guys that you bought from when you were really ready to take that plunge. So around what time period was that for you?
So I didn't buy much from Albert. Like, I don't want to make out, I know some people are very, you know, there's lots of stories. You know, there was the Felix podcast with Marcus today, which was fun, you know, fun listen, where obviously there's lots of people who are, you know, friendly and go to baseball. That was never me. I bought some planetary pages from him that were pretty awesome. I got a 3-page sequence directly from him. I can't think what else it was. So it probably was, I mean, whenever that Planetary 13 came out, and I don't remember, maybe it was 2008, 2009, you know, around the mid 2000s, it would have been. I may have bought some other stuff from him, but it probably wasn't that big of a purchase. You know, it was a long time before. Like, there's always those early barriers of, like, you know, I've spent $150 on a page. Going more than that is a, you know, big milestone. I can remember buying a page for over $400, and that was a big deal. You know, breaching 1,000 was a big deal. And I think when I bought the 3 planetary pages, I probably paid close to 1,000, but it was 3 pages.
Sure.
I wanted a 4th one, but someone else already beat me to it. I think it's a collector in France who still has the page and won't sell it to me, which is fine. I think I'm good with the 3 now.
Sure. And yeah, just off topic, I see that everybody's mentioning stuff about Marcus and his podcast, and you just did as well. I did not get to hear that yet, so I am looking forward to going back and taking a listen to that. I'm sure it was very enlightening, and we'll learn all about his commenting prowess as well as his incredible art collection.
Yeah.
So all right. So, you know, flash forward to now. I mean, are you at a point in where you're, like you just said, I know you just bought that BERMEJO recently, but I mean, you're still looking for the few choice pieces to fill. I mean, are there voids, I guess, in the collection that you haven't really been able to shake out from anyone yet?
There's probably just a couple of voids, but I definitely look at my collection. I do think I righted the ship early enough that I do have, like, I've got 2 Sam Keith Blood Hungry pages and a Hulk 368 page, which, like, those are really hard to come by. As much as the Blood Hungry pages have jumped up in price, you just don't see the Hulk 368 pages. I just lent the trade where that issue is it to a friend of mine, and he read that, like, I want to, you know, can I get a page from that? He saw that I had one, and, you know, like, no, they just aren't there. So I think I've done really well. I did pick up a Miracle Man page this year, which was a big deal. That was, you know, a bit of a void, but that's more of an opportunity, more than really, you know, if I never had a page, I would have been fine. But it was, you know, it felt very nice to add it to the you know, the roundedness of my collection. But otherwise, I do feel like I pretty much do have what I really want. I've got things like the A-level. Sorry, I have to work out. There we go. The A-level MIGNOLA page. That, you know, I've got that scratch, well and truly itch, well and truly scratch. So I feel really good about that. So I don't know that there's much that I have to have. It's just, you know, I've always been very opportunistic. That when the right piece comes up, and if I have means to go for, I'm willing to sell to fund it, then great. But I don't have a list anymore. I did have a list, and that's some of the pieces I've given you to show off. You know, there were specifically, like, those were the link. Some of them were lingering things on the list, so I kind of did move a bit heavier, bigger to get to them. So yeah, again, but I did it, and I feel good about it. You know, did I overpay? Did I overtrade? Probably, but we all know that if you want those big pieces, you've got to pry them loose. You've got to do the extra to get to them.
Agreed. And you know, we had talked earlier before the show. We were talking about maybe doing a separate interview as a art rep and that sort of thing. I mean, I saw that Ruben asked, you know, like, how you met ALLRED early on. I don't know if you want to dive into that, you know, tonight, if you're open to that.
Yeah, I mean, I started as a collector. I was messaging him to say, hey, I would like to buy some artwork, and he said, I'm not selling. And I said, oh, okay, thank you for your time. And then I emailed back, hey, can I get a commission? Hey, I don't do commissions. Okay. Then I bought a piece from Mitch Ickowitz, an ALLRED, a big canvas piece that he had done, like a Roy Lichtenstein panel blow up commissions he did, at some point in the 90s, and I asked him about it, and I basically built up a relationship by politely pestering him. It wasn't really pestering, but engaging with him, just showing I was genuinely a fan. And then at some point, I think he hit upon a stash of artwork that he didn't realize he had. I bought some pieces, one of which was the I didn't give you this one, and I thought about it, but it's the Vertigo Winter's Edge cover, which has like Death centrally on a ladder and has all the like a whole big cast of Vertigo characters as a wraparound cover. I bought that from him, and then I think I just offered to help him sell the rest of the stuff. And initially, I was doing it kind of just as a fan, like helping him out, having to do it, and it just became it stuck, and it's been working really well for both of us. He doesn't sell individual pages anymore for any of his new stuff. He'll only sell them as complete issues, but he'll give me covers, and I set him up with a regular stream of commissions, some of which are just mind-bogglingly awesome in their ingenuity. The mix of comic and pop culture characters and things like that. So it's kind of fun, kind of me getting that request, fielding it, filtering it through to Mike with the right level of detail that Mike's good with it. So a lot of fun that I get to have there.
Sure. I mean, does he typically ship everything out, or does things come to you and then you have to ship them?
It's with me typically.
Yeah.
He ships the stuff to me. I've got everything that's on my site pretty much, barring maybe one or two pieces, is with me. So it goes out from me. The commissions, same kind of deal.
Interesting. So he's always actively accepting commissions, or at least is that true right now?
Yeah. Yep. And the prices are on my website. You're welcome to go look at gotsuperpowers.com.
That's right. And I didn't link that website on the YouTube description. I put your CAF Gallery on there, so I will add that. But anybody who wants to be surfing Simon's gallery while we're chatting tonight, you should definitely do that. So, and I'm having power fluctuations here at the house, just so everybody knows. Yeah, it's kind of odd. You don't seem to have them here, but I definitely just watching the lights out.
I can see it,
yeah, it's odd. I've never seen that before. But again, we've had some storms in the area, so hopefully I don't lose my connection tonight. But all right, so maybe we should look at some. Well, before we get started, the piece that you said that's right up behind you. You said that you don't have a scan of in your CAF gallery. I thought that had a good story. You said you had sold it and managed to get it back recently. So can you tell me a bit more about that, because it's not in your CAF gallery?
Yeah, so this is a John Bolton, I think it's actually like page 1, book 1 of Books of Magic, the prestige format Neil Gaiman written series. So I bought that from John Bolton through his rep back in my London days. So I, back when I was living in London, I started hanging out with some local guys there, and one of them, two of them, I think, were helping John Bolton maybe sell some pieces, or somehow could they hooked me up with that. And I got that, and I was, again, I moved to New Jersey. I was traveling a lot to Ohio to see my now wife, and I, funds were a lot tighter, and I was flying before I had a car, and I basically had to I basically sold it to a guy, and then years later, kind of COVID times, he's looking to sell his collection, and he still had this piece, and I asked about it, and I named a price, and he accepted, and I got it back. It's funny because I also bought another piece back from him a couple of years prior to that, where he sent it back to me in the same masonite that I had sent to him. And I know this because when I opened it up, my from Simon to was on the inside of it. So he clearly kind of kept that masonite, whatever, I can't believe he kept the art in the masonite. I think he just was fishing for masonite, saw that, and thought that was the perfect thing to send it back to me in.
Right. No, that's great. We've talked about that before too. The art of recycling packaging that you've got from people. If you get masonite, you never throw that away. Yeah.
Yep. And the other fun thing on that one is the price I paid for it was the price I sold it to him. So this was again pre-COVID, so prices hadn't moved that much really. It was a Ashley Wood Miracle Man pinup. Wow. I think I sold it to him for $200, and I bought it back for $200. So he just held it in storage essentially for me.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I've been picking up a few pieces that I sold back when I built the golf course, and I'm very happy to be able to do that. Because I'm paying a little bit more than when I sold them back in what was it 07, 06 in that time period. But yeah, it feels good. It feels really good to bring artwork back into your collection that you really didn't want to let go of in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a few that I've done, and this is the thing. I was thinking about this kind of ahead of us talking. Like, I could have almost given you, like, flipped it around. I could have given you, instead of the pieces I gave you, I could have given you the best pieces that I'd sold. And there would have been a Dale KEOWN splash. There would have been a David Mack Kabuki cover. There would have been all manner of painful things.
Right.
I don't know what I was thinking exactly when I sold them. I think the David Mack was, I didn't like that I had so much money in the one piece. That was a funny thing. And when I look, you look at the shelf behind me, all of them are probably worth more than what I paid then. So it was just the wrong piece at the wrong time for me. Or I felt like, well, I could sell that one piece and I could buy 10 more, 10 other pieces. I probably would have sold those, but it's just funny.
Well, the life cycle of collecting, that's at least with as many years as you have in the hobby, you can look back on all of that and think back to the pieces that you wish you hadn't sold, or that and I'm sure there's pieces that you let go of and you didn't think twice about it. So
right.
I mean, that's what 20 plus years in the hobby will do for anyone. I mean, I don't know. I look back on things that I wish I would have kept, and certainly lots of things that I've either passed up on or wish I hadn't sold at all. But no, that's good. That's, for younger collectors who are just getting into the hobby. I mean, they're still, like we've seen in the chat, some people saying they haven't broken, or breaking $1,000 level is that a big barrier. I mean, they're just getting their feet wet. So the journey is long, but fun at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's a lot harder to get pieces from me today, and I think the barrier, the price that I would be willing to pay to get a new piece, I don't even know where it is anymore. I think because of the state of my collection, because of kind of scratching those itches, I don't know that I would go crazy. I mean, I've definitely thought about it, and I sold a batch of pieces, and it gave me a lot of money that I was thinking that I would go big. And I did try a little bit, but that was a crazy amount of money that I was willing to spend on a piece. And I'm not sure I'm going to do that again. I felt like it felt okay at that moment, but as I think about it, and as I spent the money on other things, including that Miracle Man page, I don't regret that. I could have saved and added even more and bought something way bigger, but that doesn't feel right. I have something of a level. I'm a well set, humble collector. Like, I've got some really great pieces that aren't small, but I'm not able to compete with others, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to punch so much above my weight, but I've got some pieces that are above my weight.
Sure. Let's see. Got a comment here from Jimmy Lawson that says, Simon actually worked out something with me recently on a piece we traded a couple years ago. My first piece to get back. Yes. Beyond grateful.
Yeah, and that was nice. I mean, I got a piece from Jimmy, and I thought I was going to keep it, and then I'm in a bit of a position where I need to sell just to level some things out. And I'm like, well, I've got to pick the right pieces to let go, the ones I'm not going to have that regret on. And I made, I knew I got it from Jimmy, and just kind of reached out, say, hey, I'm going to think this is going to go. Let's, can we do something? And it worked out very nicely.
That's good. I think that's when people have art to sell. I look back on certain times when I should have went back to the person I bought the artwork from originally and offered it to them first. I mean, just in a weird way. I mean, there's certain buys that you make, whether it's with somebody who you've known for a long time in the hobby, or who feels like they're doing you a solid, where I think that it's almost best to go back and say, I'm going to be letting this one go, and I wanted to let you know first. Because there are many, well, I can't say many, there are like 3 or 4 times where I didn't do that and didn't think about that, and had a few people come back who sold me the art originally, saying, I wish you would have let me know first. And
yeah, it's very hard to do. I think in this specific case, I had asked Jimmy a few times for the piece, and he'd rebuff me and rebuff me, and then I didn't. There was no forcing or anything, but it was we kept going. So I definitely it felt very right to go back to him. There's other pieces that I'm going to be selling that there is no expectation. I don't feel like I'm missing a beat by just putting it up for sale, in whatever way I'm going to do that. But yeah, with Jimmy, I think it was the right thing, and it feels good.
Good, and I'm sure, and Jimmy sounds very happy as well.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, why don't we pull up a few pieces of artwork and we can talk about those. Let's see. And again, these aren't in the order that you had attached them, so just bear that in mind.
Yeah, I put them in alpha order, so it's just gonna be a random show for all of us.
Well, exactly. Right. All right. Well, here is the first one I've got.
That's a nice one.
It is.
Yeah. So I do like Mike ALLRED. I think someone had said in the chat, I think it was Michael Perlman, saying about I need more ALLRED, and that's exactly true. I have, as I said earlier, like Mike doesn't sell individual pages. I think he feels distraught when there's some pages left of a book, the ones that no one wants. So I'll sell the book complete. It's a package. What someone does with it, that's up to them. But I really love the Silver Surfer series. He did like two volumes with Dan Slott, and they're great. And he started, there've been requests for a long time, myself included, to get paid, to get pages. Can you just break one issue up? I'll make sure it sells. And he just wouldn't do it. And then he decided, all right, I'll sell complete issues. And people were taking some issues. And then it's like, well, now it's my turn. And, what issue do I take? Some of the ones I wanted were gone. So I was just trying to read through and pick out what ones were right. And I picked this one. It's not got a great cover. I mean, it's fine cover, but it's not, you're buying the cover and the interior, you want in theory, a complete package. But for me, this issue and this splash is really what made it. It's just the series is about these two characters. It's Silver Surfer and Dawn. And this is like one of the iconic visuals from the series. So I kind of went with this issue because it really kind of exemplified the relationship between the two of them. And this page specifically is that one. I think Dan Slott had commented that he's seen more tattoos of this than anything else from any of the comics he's had. Something like that. I might be bastardizing that comment, but it's something like that. This is a very big image from it. So I love the Silver Surfer, and I love Mike ALLRED. So this was an easy choice. My wife did point out it's framed. I don't know if you can zoom in on the top border where Mike's written Silver Surfer, but he misspelled either silver or surfer in that as well. So
yeah, I can't zoom in, unfortunately, on this one.
Yeah. Now I can't unsee it. Sadly, it's it's fine. I put it high up on the shelf, so I don't have to look at it. I see the image and I can't read the top of it.
Oh, see, now you're going to make me go look back to your original scan and figure out which was misspelled. It kind of looks like it's missing an L or something.
Yeah, I think it's Silver Surfer.
Yep, there you go. Dino's got the sharp eyes this evening. Yep. Funny.
But on this piece, I mean, as well, it's he whenever he did Silver Surfer, he did the wash tones, which is it just kind of helps make Silver Surfer look chrome. Kind of adds extra depth. So that's a really nice touch on the original as well. It's not just a thing that was done post production in the coloring. It's the original kind of pops out from that. And yes, Timothy, tattoos of this image.
Wow. So what does Mike think about that?
I don't know. Again, it was Dan Slott that I saw comment around it, so I'm guessing Mike's seen it too. Mike's very active on Twitter, and he'll retweet things, and I'm sure he's done it. I just don't recall what his reaction was. There's many Madman tattoos and many ecstatic tattoos and X-Force from stuff he's done, so I think he's used to it. I think it was the comment I have is just the reference. It was the reference for the comment is just from what Dan had said. For all the stuff, all the Spider-Man stuff and all the other things he's done, this was the one that just seems to really resonate, because I think it's that relationship. And again, that's why I picked that issue to get that splash. There's also a Galactus splash. So, I wasn't getting a bad issue by any stretch, but it was, it wasn't an action one, which is in theory what would go first. The ones I wanted were the Galactus issues, but they had gone.
Right, right. So no inside track all the time on getting a great ALLRED piece or something. You kind of, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Oh, sorry, I was just reading through some of the comments here.
Yeah, Jason's one's a good one from Essential Sequential.
Oh yeah, there it is. I'm sorry, I was looking up.
So this is back when I lived in New Jersey. I think again, I could have sent you a James Jean cover that I have, and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of one of the things I was thinking to mention is like because I'm always kind of got an eye to new artists and the affordable stuff, right? Because again, for a long time, I couldn't get the things that I really wanted, so I try and get in things early and discover the new things. So I was buying James Jean stuff from James really early into his Fable stuff. Like this series hadn't got to double digits, and I was asking for a commission. And I bought stuff, and then I was encouraging Jason to buy a cover, which somehow he was like on the fence on. He didn't seem like he somehow needed convincing to buy this piece. So he did, and I think he still has it, which is correct. The right thing to do. To have got rid of that would have been not good. It's a Poison Ivy Batgirl piece, I believe. And yes, it was pencil. So at that time, seeing a pencils only piece was not normal. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what kind of stopped him just going in for it.
You mean in general, art collecting at that point in time?
Yeah,
I mean, I remember when I first saw James' work too. I wouldn't say I didn't get it because I thought it was beautiful, but I do think that being pencils initially, I was kind of taken aback. Like, wow, I love this image. It's very in line with like the illustration artwork that I collect, but I never bought a piece of artwork by James. And I think maybe because it was pencils that initially held me back, and then I just never even thought about it after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at that point that, there wasn't the blue line as much. Obviously blue line and the kind of the idea of light boxing had been around for a long time, but it wasn't as big as it is today. So I think, that was probably holding some people back, and other people were fine with it. And I think it was, if Jason's recollection of $300 is correct, I mean, $300 for a cover then was, a good deal, and probably reflected of it, it was just pencils. Mm-hmm. But obviously by today's money, that's someone should offer him $500 and see if he accepts it.
Yeah, I think we know the answer to that. He says maybe 400 though.
Oh, well, he's just gone down in price.
Yeah. But no, I'm a huge fan of James' work though. So that's really, really nice. But I do remember feeling, at odds with looking at the art, and that kind of kept me back. Even, I'll be honest, even when I love Paul Pope's work originally when I first saw it, but there was something about his process that kind of kept me away a little bit. And I don't know why, because I absolutely loved it, just like the way I look at James' work. And I look at it today and I feel stupid that I ever thought that when I first saw it. But I remember seeing Paul at a couple shows early on, and nobody was talking to him. It seemed like nobody was buying from him, and it's funny how some of those creators like that, they don't get the attention right at the get-go, but then after that they're almost untouchable, right?
Yeah, and it almost seems like they do their own stuff, and then when they kind of hit one of the big two or big three now with Image, Image wasn't necessarily the big thing that it is today. Mm-hmm. That kind of gives them the more profile, and then people are more willing to go in and look at their other stuff. So with Paul Pope, when he was maybe doing THB and Heavy Liquid and 100%, it was maybe when Batman 100 100 came out that maybe people gave him a bigger look. Mm-hmm. That before he was like interesting, but I'm not necessarily going to pick up that $20 trade or whatever it was. And now they're more willing to, because oh no, this guy's genuine, and I get it. And his stories are all very similar. They have a similar feel to them, not just for his art, but I think just the technology he seems to work in. It just seems to be like it could all be in the same universe.
Sure. Nope. Well, and Nick says they were one of the first ones to publish some of Paul's work, so that's good. Cool. There you go. All right, and we'll bring up another artwork here. It's a good one.
So, Chris Baccello, Neil Gaiman written Death, High Cost of Living. So this goes to when you were saying that I have holes in my collection, there's things I was looking for. This, for the longest time, was one of those holes. When I used to buy comics from the newsagent, essentially a 7-Eleven equivalent back in London. I used to go every week. I'd pick up whatever they had, as long as it was Marvel or DC. I didn't really read too much 2000 AD or that kind of stuff. It was just the American superhero stuff I would get. So that was what my bread and butter. So I was reading Ron Friend's Thor, Tom DeFalco read Thor, Peter David, Dale Kieran Holt, Jurgens drawn Superman, all these other things, like very kind of men in tights, bow pop, whatever, that kind of stuff. And then eventually, when I was like 15, I discovered comic shops that had way more stuff, and kind of completely blew my mind. When the first thing of Sandman that I read was Death, High Cost of Living, and also Sandman 50. This was at the time that Kindly Ones was actually being published. I discovered Sandman really late, just as it was coming to an end. But this was my first introduction to it. So it was very meaningful. Like, it was a real big want for me to get this. And, it's a really nice page with Sexton, Mad Hattie, and with Death herself. So, it's perfect. I think this is like, Bocello, and I apologize. Every name that I say, I'm going to say it wrong. Put it down to my accent, not my, not ignorance. This for me, his art at this point through Shade and Death was perfect. It's all the dirty inking. It's the technique that kind of pairs up. It's the figures and everything else. And it's not superhero stuff. Not that I don't like his superhero stuff. I haven't really read very much. I like it well enough to look at it, but this is where it really fits well for me and my appreciation of him and it.
This is an absolutely beautiful page. Yeah, I could look at this one for a long time. Yeah.
Yep.
As I think many people in the chat
yeah.
feel the same way.
And I traded really badly to get to it. I gave up a really big thing that I didn't pay much for, but I knew was worth more to get it. And it, naivety, kind of just a bit trigger happy, if you like. So I've got plenty of regrets, whether it's things I've bought, things I've sold, how I went about it, and it's a lot harder to get me to give up art these days, because of those scars, because of those experiences, which, that's all good, right? I still feel like I still make some of those. I try not to. I'm more kind of conscientious of it, but I still make the deal that I want to get the piece that I want.
Right.
Sometimes.
No, well, I get it. I think that even as collectors, we probably always still feel we make mistakes. I mean, 20 years in the hobby doesn't make us experts at all. And I don't think anybody who tells you that they're always making the best decision on everything they buy is definitely lying, because, there's always a, I don't know, there's something, I always feel some kind of, I second guess myself. I like the, on Sunday we had the chat, and Kavi had mentioned about going back and looking through his collection to reevaluate, why did I pick out this piece? And I haven't done it yet, but I thought that's a really great way to go back and think about, why did I value this piece like I did to put in my collection in the first place? And do I feel the same way about it today as I did when I did it? And I think that would tell you a lot about the collection you have today,
Right.
And probably not everybody does that, but I thought that was really cool. And he would pair it up with music though at the same time, which I wouldn't do. But
speaking of music, there's some music that I somehow associate with comics when I was reading them. So like Shade, the Milligan Bocello run, I was listening to REM, and that's like forever stuck in my head. Whenever I look at that stuff. That's the kind of the silent the accompaniment that goes along with it. I don't know why that one is. It probably just fit really well with the kind of otherworldly weirdness of it.
Right. No, that's cool. I mean, that's the trigger, right? I mean, you see the art, and
yeah.
I get it. I'm still getting that light flickering around here, so I'm getting nervous. I should be ready to call Dino. Dino, I need you to step in.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. We're not that far apart, but yeah, definitely something a little odd going on in my house today. I did rewire some stuff.
Okay. 2
days ago, so that could be part of my problem. See, I do. Marcus, he turns on Taylor Swift.
So, oh, really? Okay.
Oh man. Let's see. Third piece, and the only color piece in the set here today.
Yeah, and I don't have too many of them. This one is amazing. So as a general rule, again, talking about like the churn I've had in my collection, I'll only buy stuff if I've read it. As a general rule, pretty much, the vast majority of the time, this is a Brian STELFREEZE painted Daredevil Elektra piece. That's an actual handprint in the top right there. Like I was looking at this just before I was moving it around to a new storage location, and like it's the texture. You see the rays of ink or the oil, whatever it is that he used. You see it on it. It's an amazing piece. This is one of those fun things where it was up for sale a few years ahead of me buying it, and I didn't buy it. And I probably only talk money about what I paid. Maybe on this time, maybe another time. I'll try not to, because I feel like I don't want to be obnoxious around it. It came up for sale at $2,500, and it was too much. And again, it's oversized, it's massive, and more than I wanted to spend, or I didn't have the money, or whatever it is. And I regretted not going for it and not making it happen. A couple of years later, it came up for sale again. This time, the price was $3,500, and I jumped on it. No regrets. I turned down an offer of way more than that, and I will continue to turn down any offers that come my way for it. It's an A-level piece from one of my favorite artists, which is, you were talking about with the BERMEJO, like the idea of getting A-level pieces. That's been what I've been trying to do, is like my favorite artists to have an A-level piece by them. And I've got that with BERMEJO, and I've got that with STELFREEZE, and I've got that with ALLRED, and I've got that with a few others. But this one is, hard to beat. I love Daredevil, love the Elektra stories from the Miller run, and a few other appearances after that. But it's great. This is a phone picture because it's so big and it's color. I can't scan that on my 11x17 scanner and come away anything close to good.
Wow. Michael was curious what the size was on it, since it is, like you said, pretty large.
It's similar to the Pope piece. I have a Pope cover, which I was looking at before, is 19 by 24, I think. So this is around that same size. It's on board, mounted to board. That sounds weird. I don't know if that's what happened when the previous owner framed it, if that's what happened, or that's what Brian had done. I'm not sure. But either way, it's great. It's it's very, very big. So it's something like 19 by 24, something like that.
Dang. Well, Brian's another artist that I've never owned anything from, but man, his color work has always blown me away. I mean, he's a master of his color palette. It's unlike anybody else's, and he just hits all the vibrant tones in a color that you would want to get, and makes it work. I mean, I've watched him paint before, because he's just amazing. So it shows. So wow. And isn't that funny? You saw it at 25, couldn't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
See it again at 35, and you got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, no hesitation. And again, it was something to do with timing, something to do with my willingness to spend that amount of money. But yeah, it was the $1,000 penalty wasn't so bad. Like if that went up for auction today, I don't think I'd be able to be competing for it. And that's true of lots of pieces. And that goes to the idea of like, well, I don't want to sell stuff now because I couldn't backfill it. I wouldn't be able to get a piece that's better than. So why would I let this one go? Right, exactly. And again, that's one of those rare opportunities where it came by you a second time. That doesn't always happen too often, and that's got to, you were ready at that point. Yeah, fourth time, like you said, a fourth time if it came by now. Yeah, probably wouldn't if it came out of a collection, because anybody who's after Brian's work like that, published work, I mean, they got it because they love it. So right, yeah. And Michael asked if it's acrylic. I don't know what his I think mediums of choice. Yeah, he switches around. Like he'll do watercolors, I think, at shows when he's doing kind of commissions at that kind of way. I think even the commissions he does at home, I think, are also watercolors. I think. But this one, when I'm looking at the handprint, I definitely see like there's the raised texture of like the hand went down, raised up, and you can see the.
Oh, you can some texture there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got
acrylic.
Acrylic would make sense then. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I was reading through a few other things too. Well, there you go. It's like Bolton's color is very rich. That's a good comment.
Yeah. Bolton's a funny one whose like style's evolved. Like he keeps switching up his style quite often. Like you look at some of the black and white stuff he's done versus the painted and things in between. Like he's really tried to experiment. And you kind of compare that to Brian, who's just evolved and matured, but I think he's found his groove and has stuck with it, which is also when you find an artist you like, I can buy just about any era of his work because I can appreciate it all and it's all pretty much consistent. Whereas John Bolton, because he's experimented, like sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a bit of a miss, so you wouldn't necessarily dive in for it. So just funny.
Yeah. No. And we were just talking about, well, this is good. It's a good segue for this piece here, size-wise.
So this one is 19 by 24. So Paul Pulp, Strange Tales, #1 cover. I love Paul Pope. I was reading THB and 100% and Heavy Liquid, and I wanted to get a Heavy Liquid or a 100% page. And I was living in America at this point, and I was actually in London visiting family, where a friend who's on the West Coast was going to a show local to him in Oregon. And I said, all right, here's a budget. Can you try and get me a Heavy Liquid or 100% page? 1 page is fine. The budget, that's budgeted enough or more than I thought it would be. And he emailed me. I'm in London, like emailing real time with him whilst he's wherever he's at, saying, yeah, no pages, but there's this piece. Do I want it? And the response, as quick as I could type it, was yes, absolutely, please, please, please. I mean, it's amazing. It's like the whole cast of the Marvel Universe, pretty much. I mean, not exactly, but it's all the big heavy hitters with Spider-Man right at the top. So it's pretty wonderful. Again, it's one of those unfortunate things like the STELFREEZE where it's so big. I don't know. I don't have enough light-free wall space to put that up to do it justice. So it does sadly sit in a bit of in a safe storage container type thing, which is something of a shame, but that doesn't mean I'm going to sell it, so don't ask. Yeah, it's very, very cool. I still want to get a Heavy Liquid page. I don't think he's ever Paul's never sold any of those. I did have for a time 100% page, and I hope to get another one. But I did let that one go for a deal that I did, but I still have this, and I'm very happy with it.
Well, it's a beauty, and yeah, when I saw it originally, I could dream of owning it, but yeah, you're very fortunate to have this one in your collection. I mean, I could stare at this one for hours too. I mean, it's classic. Everything about it. I mean, Paul's work is unmistakable, and wow.
Yeah, I mean, the normal thing is like the right place at the right time. And as I said, I'm very much an opportunist collector. Like I know what I want, and I've had something of a mental list, and I was trying to get some things from it. But sometimes I would search CAF or other places for it, and other times, friends help me out. And this is, one of my best comic art friends, and best friends in general, was able to hook me up. It took him a while to be able to work out, to get the right materials to be able to ship it to me safely. So that was like the angst bit of it. It's like, well, I've got to wait for him to ship it, which is fine. I understand, but it's that time that elapses, and then it's the risk of what's coming from Oregon all the way to the great state of Ohio. And he made sure to ship it on a Monday so it wouldn't sit in a post office over the weekend. Trying to minimize any potential risk of anything going wrong. So it was a big deal when I got that, very much so.
Well, that was thoughtful.
Yeah.
Usually that I don't think that much thought goes into shipping an artwork unless you're like doing some expeditious overnight or or that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I ordered something from Kirby's Comic Art, and they said, oh yeah, we're gonna you should have it in 2 days. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get the thing in 2 days. And sure enough, it showed up. I mean, they knew it's gonna. Yeah. They emailed me on Wednesday. They're like, it's gonna be there by like Friday at 3 p.m. Like, that's not even going to happen. But sure enough, there it is. So I haven't even opened it yet. But yeah, that's great. I mean, it shows concern and care.
Yeah. I think part of it, again, it's the idea of it's that big. The packaging has to be bigger, so there's just a lot of risk in how do you do that, and it gets where it needs to go in one piece.
There you go. All right, let's see. Oh, get the next one here.
So yeah, so someone already kind of commented that I think that piece, the camera position is all weird, but yeah, that's framed right behind me.
Yeah.
So again, Kevin Nolan is one of my favorite artists. This is for me another A-level piece from him. It's a pinup, not a cover. I have a Wolverine cover by him as well. But this one is just like the style of it, the line work, Batman's cape to what Catman's claws on his chest, even the bat symbol, the bat logo, whatever emblem on his chest. And I don't know if people can see it well on the left image. Well, at least it's left for me, like the close-up image. But there's Robin in the top left, kind of everyone comments to his expression as he's looking down at Batman in bondage, and there's even to the bottom right-hand corner, it's like a mouse in a mousetrap. It's all the details, it's all the line work, the crisp, precise line work that Kevin is so well known for, and it's just perfect. So I think people have a fascination with bricks, and it's kind of a bit disturbing.
Well, it came out of. Did you hear the episode where the bricks kind of got started?
I know where it's coming from. I was trying to be somewhat playful too.
Well, I'll be honest. When I've seen this image a bunch of times, and I know I've seen Robin on it before, but when I put the slide together, I totally forgot that Robin was there, and now I see it again, and it's it's very, very humorous. So, wow.
Yeah, and Kevin does a great Batman. He obviously inked the Azrael story. That was a huge comic, but I love like Batman's face, like his chin, his like straight mouth, like he's just not impressed. He's so so serious. I mean, he's obviously in chains, so he should be, but it's just perfect. It really is.
Wow. No, it's a wonderful piece in your collection, and envied as well, I'm quite certain.
Yeah.
Let's now this is another one that I know a lot of people like.
Yeah. So this is one of those things where this is a more recent times get, and in fact, you're part of the story about how I got this.
Oh, I got to hear. I didn't know that.
A friend of mine was over to meet with you, and he brought another guy with him that I had never met before. But when he was over, I went to meet him after he met with you for breakfast.
Yeah.
And so I was talking with my friend, and talking to this other guy, like, "Oh, what do you collect?" And the guy saying, this, that, and some of this stuff. And cool, I don't really, that's Mobius is great, but that's not me. I'm never going to have a Mobius. But he's got some Mignola. I was like, "Oh, cool. What Mignola you got?" I love Mignola. And then he shows me a scan of this page. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to pick my drawer up. I asked him how much, and it was that awkward thing of he didn't want to, who goes first kind of thing. He eventually he named a price, and I was like, well, thanks anyway. And then I thought more about it, and I thought it was like one of those things where a prime Mignola, Mignola Hellboy in action. That's what I wanted. I had other lesser ones, good ones really, but Bs. And I didn't have an A, and I wanted A. Mignola as one of my favorite artists. So I wanted to have that thing that kind of really scratched that itch. Hellboy is one of my favorite comics as well. So, it was a big deal. So I messaged him afterwards, tried to get him to come down on the price, which he wouldn't do, which was fine. And then I basically, I sold to fund it. And I traded up some pieces to make this happen. This is, that's the fruit of the labor. I think it was like 10 or 12 pieces that I got rid of to make this happen. I think Mikhail is actually one of the people who helped me fund it. He may not have realized it, but he did.
Well, that's great. And I know exactly whom you're talking about. Yeah, that was, I knew that you were picking them up. I think you took them to the airport, right?
I did. I had breakfast with them, and I took them to the airport.
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah, because it was either you or me. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that worked out. That was actually a very fun trip for me as well. But yeah, that's very cool. Very, very cool. Congratulations. I mean, that's what you got to do sometimes, though, right? You got to give away things and get rid of a few things to get something as exemplary as that. And
right. And again, my initial reaction was, no, that's like crazy. I'm not going to do that. You know, it was the top end of what it would go for. Like he wanted the premium. He knew he had a premium. He had a splash that went along with it. I didn't like that as much. It was like Hellboy, like a rear view of Hellboy and the werewolf.
oh yeah.
And, you know, I definitely couldn't do both, and I didn't want the splash. I just wanted this page. I've actually did a fun little thing where I got different artists. I commissioned different artists to do the splash. I gave them a scan of the page and said, please do a splash following this. Keep it the same kind of. It's a Gothic church. That's the background, and it should say "Only Beast," which is what the caption is. And I got like 5 different artists to do the splash. Just to see how it came out. Like, you know, they don't get to see what the splash actually looks like. They just get to do their version of it. So it's very much on brand for them. But it's a Hellboy werewolf commission. So those are pretty cool.
Wow. Are those on your CAF?
Yes. I have a Hellboy sketches commissions folder, and they're in there.
Okay. Because I'm in your CAF, I'll definitely take a look at that. All right. No, that sounds really cool. I like that idea.
And cheaper than the doubling my price.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is, you know, the Silver Surfer 50 page. You know, Ron Lim, Jim Starlin written, Tom Christopher inks. This popped up on eBay. I don't remember what year it is. It probably is reflective of whatever date it shows for CAF. But this came up on eBay with a buy it now. This is another time I will tell you the price I paid. The buy it now was $175. And I'm hitting the buy it now button and it's not working. Nothing's happening. And I'm panicking because it's a great page from Silver Surfer 50. That foil cover, I mean, come on. Who
right. Oh yeah.
Book, right? So I can remember messaging. I must have been in New Jersey. I think would have been in New Jersey. So it probably was between 2003 and 2005. And I'm messaging a friend of mine, another New Jersey collector. It's like, can you do it? Can you hit the buy it now? Can you get it? And eventually it went through and I got it. But it was, you know, that thrill, like it's, you know, sometimes you get the thrill, you win the auction, but I had that panic, I had the desperation because I'm right there. I'm hitting the button and nothing is going on until it finally did. It may be a statue of Thanos, but it's still Thanos.
Right. Right. Exactly. Wow. But yeah, I could see that would be quite frustrating, you know, for you. I mean, just, you know, as you're trying to get it and eBay is not cooperating.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and
eBay, I mean, eBay was the source of many purchases. You know, that was how I got lots of my stuff. And also you could message the seller and you could try and ask them what else they had and you could work private deals. And, you know, I got some nice stuff that way. And yeah, I don't want to go into it. I could delve into another story, but I don't want to. But
understood. No, there's lots of there are so many, you know, great stories that came out of the early days of eBay. I think that you know, but I think that's why eBay plugged many gaps and changed so many things around because they knew all the money that was really getting lost. People ending auctions early. I mean, it was tough. It was, you know, as a collector, it was frustrating a lot because there were things that you would be waiting on. You knew you were going to want to snipe it, and then 3 or 4 days into the auction, you know that the seller got an offer, and boom, they pulled the listing. Yeah, and that would happen a lot. I mean, I would go in and I think sometimes like make an inquiry from a seller sometimes about a buy it now listing, and they would immediately be like, if you want to take it, I'll lower the price, you know, 5% because they were going to get dinged 8% or something like that. So, you know, that kind of stuff was just going on all the time when, you know, just from casual things like that, you know, like I was maybe asking a condition issue or something, you know, it wasn't like I was fully saying I want to buy this. So, yeah, interesting times, but that's great. So how long ago was that?
The Lim was probably between 2003 and 2005, I'm guessing. Okay. Somewhere around there.
Wow. A great pickup for that time period.
Yeah. So, I love the Dale Keown. I love the whole Peter David run of the Hulk, but specifically the Dale Keown run. That's like the high point. Again, I can remember buying these comics from the newsagent around the corner from where I used to live in London. I had extra copies. I remember cutting one of the issues up and putting panels, rearranging the panels, and sticking them to my wall in my my parents' house. So these like super fond memories, super nostalgia, really fun read. Even rereading it today, it holds up really well. So this is a from the War and Pieces story, Havoc and Hulk. Havoc's in a bomb and doesn't know it. He's about to get shot off. It's just great stuff. I'd love to get more of these, but I feel like these are one of the things that the competition, the prices have gone up to such a point where I've got the examples that I've got, and I'm very happy with them. You might be showing a few more in a minute, so I can definitely.
I am.
But it's great stuff for me.
I'll tell you what, we'll just roll into those 3 consecutive pages.
So that's the other thing. I love getting consecutive pages when I can. It's we're collecting from a sequential medium. I know we love covers, and that's the thing that we really really resonates nostalgia wise. That's what we saw, but the story and the sequencing, the progression is really cool. And when you can take one page and you can make it 3, or you can make it 2, and they really kind of fall in together, it's great. So I pick these up at different times. I think I got the next page, the main page, that like the money page first. I think you might be going out of sequence actually.
Oh, did I do it wrong?
Yeah, you're in the third of the sequence.
Oh, my bad. I
right.
was renumbering them after I had created them. So let's. There we go.
Yeah. So this is the first page. So again, the beginning of the Pantheon story, where the Hulk's being captured and taken back to the Mount where they're all based, and he manages to time his escape just right in typical comic fashion. And you got a nice, this is like, in theory, it's like a dull page, right? It's just, one nice panel of the Hulk and then what looks like a setup. And I've got the page that follows with the great result of that setup, which, if you want to move to the next one, is a huge shot of the Hulk. And the Hulk looks like he's ready to go to town. And again, this is just, not long after he, from being the Grey Hulk, the Hulks merge and Bruce Banner's in charge of the personnel, of the Hulk. So it's super smart, mischievous, devious, and everything else. And, all hell's about to break loose. So it's this, this is, one of my, again, favorite runs. So to have, again, like an A example from it, it's, I think I refer to it as an almost splash. It's not a splash. There's 2 panels to it, but it's as close as you're going to get. So it's perfect.
Man, it's without question that this one right here is just mind blowing. I love his work.
So I think I had the 2 pages. So the one where he was trying to break free, I think I picked that up, and maybe even picked it up directly from Dale. I can't remember. I remember at one point I reached out to him and he had a few pages, and I kind of cleaned him out what he had left, which wasn't, it was so pages. I picked those up, and then I had 2 pages from the sequence. And I think at one point I asked a dealer by happenstance, I said, "Oh, do you have any Dale Keown Hulk artwork?" And the guy said, "No." And it's okay, cool, no worries. Then the next week, an eBay auction comes up for the next page, the 3rd page in the sequence.
And sorry, I'm going to switch it right here. I was looking at too many windows on this thing tonight. Here we go.
So then this page pops up on eBay, and almost in that similar kind of excitement I had for that Lim Silver Surfer, like, crap, I've got to get this page. It ties directly into my other 2 pages. It makes it a 3-page sequence. It's great action, and it's Farmer inking on this run.
Okay.
On these issues, it was McLeod, before that, and then it was Keown. Oh, sorry, Farmer. It pops up, and I'm like, oh man, I've got to compete. I've got to bid up against all these other people. all right, I have to go big, right? I'll have to pay a premium, and that's fine. And I ended up winning it for a third of what my bid would have been, my bid was. So I don't understand. It's fine. You know, I prepaid well at the time. I don't think it was a big amount, but I felt so lucky to have got this. To again make it a 3-page sequence. I didn't buy it that way, like with the planetary pages I talked about before, the John Cassidy stuff I got from Albert. I bought them as they were published, so I bought all 3. Here I actually managed to unite the 3, so not uniting a complete issue, but I just made a nice sequence from what otherwise was a nice page.
Right. And these are in your CAF gallery, right? I think.
Yeah, the first one you showed was not. The one with Havoc was not. So
okay.
I snuck that in there. I thought that was a nice little bonus for watching the YouTube video.
Sure.
Or you're watching it. Yeah.
But that sequence is definitely in your CAF gallery. Yeah. Let's see here. Another one.
Yeah. So this one was on eBay for a long time and at a really high price. I mean, now it would be very cheap, but it was, you know, on there for a long time. No one was taking it. I loved it. And eventually it dropped to the right price. But it to me just exemplifies the Peter David KEOWN Hulk run. It was the well-drawn aspect of it, but it was also the humor. The everything that's going, you know, the look behind you, Lou Ferrigno, and then the gray Hulk, the dumb Hulk turns around to look for it. I don't know I don't remember if that is the gray and the bomb. I can't remember who was dumb at what point. But it's basically the gray and the green Hulk kind of fighting against each other in Bruce Banner's mind. So it's very cool.
Yeah, no, I like this one a lot. And patience is worked in your favor there, right? I mean, you were probably watching it, and I know eBay does always kind of alert you when a fixed price gets lower. Don't
this is before they did that. So this was again relisted. No one was taking it, and eventually it dropped to a nice enough price, or it. You know, I ended up being able to pull the trigger. Like it dropped by a couple of hundred. It's like, cool, now I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Right, and you definitely lucked out on that one auction though too.
Yeah,
you knew you were willing to go in large, and then the buyers just weren't there. I mean, I think that's what's kind of tough about the hobby in general today, because there are so many collector groups and friends. If something's out there, people are talking about it. You know, there's another, you know, there's always other buyers interested in it, and I think that helps, raise the price on certain things, because it's hard for things to go under the radar anymore, you know, unless you're real, you actually see those pieces kind of come up on eBay immediately, or on a dealer site, and it's challenging. I had a nice compliment today. I had somebody I work with, and a new client. They contacted me and they were like, I had to call you, because I couldn't write this in an email. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. And they're like, the system you built works great. It's like, I put the artwork out, I did an update, and everything sold in 5 minutes. Or no, 10 minutes, he said. And, and he's like, I didn't believe you when you told me, that you push out the announcements, because he doesn't even have a mailing list. So I was like, that's great. I love hearing that. But that's kind of that's the fervor people have, when they know something's out there and there's a time limit on it. I mean, it's kind of like the exact opposite. You were able to be patient. Other people have to like dive in and get it before anybody else can. So
yeah, and I think that's a difference between like yesterday and today, if you like. Back in prior to a couple of years pre-COVID, right? It was just different. It wasn't. It feels like there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more people going for the same things. There was people going for the same things before, but there was maybe an understood price point, like what things are worth, and things would creep up, obviously. But it feels like we've just jumped a lot. So there is definitely the fear of missing out, I think, on a lot of stuff, which is understandable. I have the same thing. I want to jump on the thing that's it's listed as quick as I can. I'm checking Albert Moy's updates, as soon as they hit, and looking for Berkey, when Berkey's updating at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, my time or our time. It's all good for the Europeans, but man.
Yeah, no, I know. And Mikhail, just I'm having some electrical problems here at the house. I mean, we had a storm blow through, and I think something is amiss in my home this evening. So but that's what. It's a very interesting time for us all. That's for sure, as collectors. But I think that those things really do help out. I mean, the groups that that kind of commiserate, in their private chats and those sorts of things, and they're looking out for each other. you know, I'm sure I've been contacted by people that know when things come on the market that they know I'm looking for. And, you know, that kind of stuff, it happened a bit in the past, but I think it's more prevalent today than it ever was in the hobby, where you know, if people, you know, people are always trying to help you find stuff and do favors. I don't know. It wasn't quite, at least it wasn't for me quite like that, you know, when I first got in the hobby, or even after I was known in the hobby. Today, yeah. All right, so let's get some more artwork up on here. And
so James Heron, Hellboy. I was in the same way I was saying about buying artwork from James Jean in those early issues of Fables, you know, before he is the artist, you know, the name that he is today, or even the name he got to be kind of later in that Fables run. I was buying stuff from James Heron, actually, because I saw a piece, I think, on CAF. I can't remember the guy's name. I'll know it when I see it, but he had like a Karate Kid or some kind of crossover piece, a commission that he had done, and I love James's style, and I kind of looked him up and reached out, and I was buying some pieces or trying to get a commission, and then he had this piece come up online that he shared, and I saw it and I reached out and had to make an offer as he was trying to, he started changing how he was trying to sell pieces, and I had to make an offer, and I got it. But this is early in his career, so it's, I think it's still very evident that it's his style, but it's just a bit different, a bit more dialed back is probably a way of saying it, to what he does now, but it's still absolutely him.
Right. Oh yeah.
Love it.
Well, see, it comes back to that eye, right? I mean, and sorry, I had to get in on that one, but it's true. You have a very good eye for art and talent, and I think that's clear from your collection, and just being able to spot things that you really like. And I don't know, we should just follow you around. I should pay very close attention to your collection to see whom you're buying. Right.
Then I'll stop posting, because I want to keep buying from them. I don't want people following me.
I am sure that's the strategy of many collectors, right? They're not going to go onto Facebook and show every piece of art they've been picking up, especially if there's an opportunity there.
Yeah. I will just plug, like, Tom Riley. I did add I added a 4-page sequence to my CAF today from a Wolverine Sabretooth battle. And I bought enough from him now, so everyone else can go buy from him. He's got a very Chris Samney, Alex Toth, like, simplistic, clean line. He does some really good stuff. He's repped by Josh at Modern Mythology. Yeah, I love his stuff. So I got a few commissions from him, and now 4 pages as well. But yeah, he's a very cool artist and nice guy. I was buying from him before he got repped. Mm-hmm. So now I just bought from his rep for the first time.
Now I'm just looking through your CAF right now. Yeah, those are really, really nice.
Yeah. And Marcus commented on those pretty quickly. I was pleased.
Yes, he did.
Seal of approval.
Wow. See, in Modern Mythology, I've heard of them. I don't think I get any announcements from them. I know I've popped on that site a few times. I'm going to have to go back and see if they even have a mailing list, because I don't think I've ever even posted an announcement for them ever. That's weird. Maybe they only post on social media or something. I know some reps and dealers don't even really use mailing lists.
Right. Yeah, I do follow them on social. Again, it's the first time I bought. I like some of the artists, not enough to want to commission. But I like Tom, so I started following because Tom started working with him.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna revisit that website tomorrow.
So, pure nostalgia. Again, growing up in London, this was before my time. I didn't read it when it came out, but I read this in a British reprint, like a hardback. It's called a Marvel Superhero Annual, I think it was. And it had this story and some other stuff, but this is the story that stood out. It was like, obviously a great classic story. A friend of mine actually had this page and a few others from it, and then he let them go, and I ended up picking it up from somebody else. But again, it's just, I remember reading this so many times as a kid in that reprint format. So to finally have got a page, again, this was just the opportunist in me. I saw it. I reached out to the guy, would he sell? And he said, yeah. And, I was actually trying to get a different page, and somehow that deal didn't quite work out for weird reasons, but he let me take this page. and it's, you know, Wolverine, Sabretooth, Psylocke, Storm, you know, action. I mean, the second and third panels, I mean, just perfect. So very, very cool stuff.
No, that's a beauty. Very, I'm envious of that one as a huge X collector myself. So yeah.
So I think this is one of the few like super current stuff that I gave you from memory without really thinking too hard about it. So Deadly Class is, I don't read, I've consistently been reading comics since I was a kid. Lots of people have stopped and then they kind of came back. I've pretty much always been, that's always been my main hobby, is reading comics and then comic art as well. I don't really have other hobbies. I have other interests, but those are my hobbies. Deadly Class is one of the few monthly, you know, the few regular books that I buy in print. I still buy the trade paperbacks as well because I want them on my bookshelves. But I you know, I really love the series, and then this piece popped up on CAF, kind of maybe in the mid-teens of it being published, and you know, was available for sale, and I jumped in it. I also got 2 pages from issue 1 with Saya featured prominently, Marcus and Saya. So it's a really, really fun series. Some great stuff in it. Very 80s based, you know, stories. Yeah, it's a fun graphic, you know, fun image, or not say fun. It's a very strong image, and it's kind of theme, I think, with the trade paperbacks. They kind of keep riffing on the black border at the bottom with some kind of content in it. So he's got like the graphic design piece to it that he's kind of kept playing with. Sorry, it's Wes Craig, I should say, that was the artist.
Oh, that's right. You know, I was just going to ask you that because I wasn't sure. I saw that it was titled Craig, but then I wasn't sure if that was
yes.
All right. Well, there are definitely some fans in the audience as well.
And it's one of those things as well. I think, like lots of the news, an ongoing series sometimes, or the art style changed from the very beginning to where it is now. Like it loosened up. You know, Wes kind of worked his style, worked out how to meet deadlines, whatever it is. So the early stuff is just that bit tighter, that bit different. So I can also appreciate from that way. And I kind of look at like Steve Dillon Preacher in the same way, like the first 6, 8, whatever number it is, you know, the first volume, the trade, you know, the line work is a lot tighter than what it is towards the end of that run, because he's working a monthly book and he's doing whatever specials they're doing and stuff like that. But again, I can appreciate this because it's just that bit, the beginning is that bit hungry, and there's even the penciled in trade dress, the penciled in logo, I should say, that they went with a different one when they published it, but it's kind of nice seeing that on the original as well, like those extra pieces you get when you look at the original that you otherwise wouldn't appreciate or know from the printed comic.
And you have some Dillon in your collection too, right?
I have a Hellblazer page from the Garth Ennis run, obviously, and then I do have a Preacher page. I almost sent the Preacher page. It was in my maybes. It's a fun page. It's just, you know, it's hard, again, like working out what I should send you. Should I send you like under $1,000 pieces, like, you know, more accessible stuff that, you know, that I like, or I just went for what I felt was the best, the things I love the most.
That's, yeah, I always tell it's always, I never try to give any direction. Yeah, if it's got a good story, if it's great art, we should have it on the show.
Yeah. So again, I love Hellboy. Richard Corbin did a freaking great Hellboy. And so I you know, I've got a Fregredo Hellboy, I've got Kevin Nolan, and I wanted to get the Corbin, and I politely inquired around CAF for a while to try and see if anyone would sell ones that I liked, and everyone politely said no, and which is completely understandable because I wouldn't sell this one. This one popped up on eBay, and you know, in somewhat recent times, like pre-COVID, at least I think it was, and you know, I had the money to be able to go for it and got it. I think it was a buy it now, but not a cheap buy it now. It wasn't a Silver Surfer 175. It was market price, or it maybe even was high, but it was like, nope, I'm good to get this one. This is like the one and done. And the, you know, Corbin ahead of his time. It's amazing. I've definitely tried to look at some of his older stuff, And it's amazing the style that he had then and what he had, what he ended with. It's like so consistent and so trademark him, that, you look at other artists and they definitely evolve, like Bill Sienkiewicz and Howard Chaykin, from their early stuff to what they ended up with. And I think Corbin just seems like, no, he knew what he was doing from the very beginning. Maybe his storytelling is different. It didn't seem that way to me from the books that I've read, but just a great all-round artist, consistently.
Well, no, I agree. And a huge loss, obviously. It's I've always wanted a Corbin piece, and they just don't come up very often. And I mean, you had an even more daunting task when you're going for Corbin Hellboy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being able to add anything to your collection from Corbin is difficult. But no, that's a fantastic piece.
Yep. So this is a 2-page sequence. I picked this up in London. This is a fun story between friends. Like, I think the friend I was with, we kind of reminisce on this story and the idea of, like, we went to a pub that was like an American writer who was getting some artwork from the family, because the artist Edwin, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, Vukovic, passed away. This is a Grendel Tales, Devils and Deaths, 2-page sequence, with the lovers fighting because reasons. It's such a amazing story. One of my favorite ever comic stories, that I heartily encourage everyone to go get it. Pages that are out there are in collections like mine, that we just treasure them. We know, it's such a good story. I really enjoy, love Grendel, so it's kind of perfect. But basically, the story was the American writer came over, got some artwork from from the family and from another artist, which is Brian Bolland, and I bought a Brian Bolland cover, which I shouldn't have bought, and I ended up letting go of. And I bought these 2 pages, and I was way more excited for these 2 pages. But we basically went out to the trunk of his car at a pub to go look through artwork. So.
That sounds like a Jack Kirby story from the 70s when he was going to San Diego Comic-Con or something.
So again, like, we're the kings of cool, right? We're a pub and we're going to geek out and look at comic pages and spending stupid money. And it was, I don't think these pages were that expensive, really. But yeah, that's went to the pub to meet an American, look through the trunk of his car to buy artwork, and I won't ever sell these pages. But yeah, this is the 2nd page. So the kind of the calm down of the battle. I wish I bought more, but again, I had humble means, and even what I did then was pretty big, buying a cover and 2 pages.
Right.
It's funny to think that the Bolland cover was very affordable. It wasn't. It was an Invisibles cover, which I didn't read. I just thought, cool, it's a Bolland cover. And again, that mentality, I kind of quickly, well, not quick enough, but I eventually moved away from. Like, I've got to read it and like it, otherwise it just doesn't stick. So I'm definitely a lot more selective in what I buy these days.
Yeah, that last page, the structure and the layout of the panels is phenomenal. I love that. All right, we're down to the final 2.
Oh, wow.
They're both really good ones.
So, Lee BERMEJO. It's a page from the Lex Luthor Man of Steel miniseries, written by Azzarello. I don't know how you'd say that. Again, we're comic readers. We never hear names. We read them and we butcher them in our heads and never know that's what we're doing. But it's the tonal pencil stuff that he's known for. I thought I kind of hit the top of what I was going to do with BERMEJO when I got a Joker page, which I got my wife to contribute for a Christmas or birthday. And I thought, like, cool, I got my A-level example of BERMEJO. And then this came up at Heritage, and it was one of those times where I had a bit of money because I did a bit of wheeling, dealing, whatever I'd done, had a bit of money in the account, my discretionary art fund account, and I was able to go big for this. And it sits, just above me there. Sorry for that. It's really weird. It's like backward orientation on the video, but yeah. So I got that, and then I framed it really quick. and I'm not a big one for framing, because my thinking's always been, well, one, I don't have that much wall space, but two, the cost of the framing could buy me a piece of artwork, and I just, I have a limited budget of new money coming in, so I just try and be very prudent with it. But yeah, very, very happy with this. Even if Batman's only in one panel, and I'm more of a Batman guy than a Superman guy, but it's a great, all 3 panels are great.
Yeah, I love the way, because I'd seen BERMEJO work, having hung out with Mark at San Diego, and I love his approach, like how he lines in all of the detail and then sort of fills it in. Like it's just so unique. I mean, his approach to drawing. I mean, he knows what he wants, and I'm just amazed at how he finds the structure and how he pulls it all together, because it's just. He just has a very unique approach to the way he draws, and then with the subtle tones in that, just absolutely amazing. And we're ending on a BERMEJO piece too.
And I just realized I was trying to show you. I was trying to show how it's framed right above me, but I realized you had the page up, not my video. So
right, yeah,
I was doing it wrong. There we go. And right next to it's one of my first ever Mike ALLRED pages.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, I like the way you've got those. I can't say that I've seen anybody use the shelving, but I really like that presentation.
Yeah, the problem I've had was that either the pieces are different sizes, the frame's different, each frame is unique to the piece, and then not like every frame is this dimension, so I can then easily put them on the wall. So we did these kind of, the frames where it's got a lip to it. Sorry, the shelf has got a lip to it. So I can switch things out really easily. Nothing's going to fall over because it's got a big enough lean to it. So I have 4 of these set up here. I have some other pieces framed, other places, but they're out of the way of the sun and very, very visible for me. So yeah, it's a nice setup.
No, I really love it. I'm looking at my back wall and thinking of all the nails I have in there right now. so no, that's very cool. And like you said, it's easy to move them around. You can. Yeah. You can take one out, move it to a different spot, or just change the layout, and however it suits you that day. All right, so here is the last artwork you picked.
So this is one I was just alluding to. This is the Joker page. So this is one where I took, my wife will ask me, what do I want for my birthday? What do I want for my Christmas? And I always say, I want art. I don't want anything else. Anything else, I'm just going to buy. So I got this page directly from Mick Gray. Just as the book was coming out, so he, obviously being the inker, he didn't have he had the fewer of the pages, but I felt this was the best one that he had left, the best of what he had, I should say, and no regrets. I just was recently able to pick up. So this is, I got a page that's not the direct page after it, but the one after that. So I've got pages that complement each other but aren't sequential. I don't think the guy who has the one in the middle will sell it to me, and I don't think I don't need to get another Batman BERMEJO. I think I'm good. 2 Joker pages, and also with the Lex Luthor Man of Steel page. I think I'm set there. So I'm content enough with those. But it's a well received, well thought of story, and Batman's barely in it. So to have 2 pages from that, and again, this one's the best one of what I have. I love it.
Oh, very, very fantastic. And obviously I saw that the other one you got, and it was equally cool. And I had no idea, when I saw it that you'd be interested in it. I just knew, I was like, wow, look at that. You don't see those too often.
Right.
So Simon was at Mike's one day when we were both bin diving. He was much faster at it than I am. I'm methodical. Simon would just plow through a bin, and so that was fun. It was and it was that day you got there before me, and I was about maybe 5 minutes behind you. Mike's calling to me. He's like, "Why don't you let yourself in?" Like, what are you talking about? He's like, "Somebody's knocking at my door, ringing my doorbell. I thought it was you." Like, no, that's
yeah. I got nothing to say to that.
Yeah, no, well, Mike's a forgetful kind of guy sometimes, but no, that's fun. You've been there before, so yeah, it's a good time. But no, that's Bermejo is always impressive, and yeah, I'm sure maybe if another piece came up, you know, and it was the right piece.
Yeah, I mean, this is again, I've sold stuff before. I've made room. I did that with the Hellboy page. There, you know, I let go of other Mignola Hellboys to get there. So yes, conceivably, if there is another page, if there's a Lex Luthor page that ties in with that one, then maybe I would look to make room for it with by letting go of another Bermejo, or maybe I'd look somewhere else. I don't know, but yeah, I definitely had to use my collection to fund other things, and I will do again. It definitely gets harder and harder. It kind of goes with, I think Andy Robbins has been mentioned on like the Felix podcast and other things, like looking at the top 50 pieces, like what are the, you know, working from there, and then everything else, you know, is maybe lesser. You know, that's pretty bastardizing what he said, but it's that kind of approach. So definitely the thing of like, well, I want this more, so these other things can, you know, suddenly become more attractive to let go. Whereas before I wouldn't have done it, but now because I can get to this new milestone, this new thing, then I'll do it. Again, it's just so much harder at this point because I do, you know, love the $200 pages. I love those. You know, they're very meaningful. Again, I really could have sent you an assortment that way, or I could have maybe been more diverse in what I'd done. But I like these ones.
No, this was a good set, and a lot. You know, again, several creators that we haven't had too many pieces on in the past, and I always like that. I appreciate that. So I try to mix up. You know, when I'm speaking with collectors, people who are collecting older work or more modern work, I mean, it's fun to see different, you know, different collecting tastes. And I can say I don't think we've really even had a Corbin on before, so so that was nice. It might have been a first. You know, I think Albert sold one recently on the show, but we've not had one during an interview. So very cool. And Marcus, no, I did not go to the Corbin. You know, I think I went to some of those artist websites. I'd go to once or twice and then never go back to. And I know Corbin's site I had been to, but I don't know. It's so hard to, you know, there's too many places to go on the internet in a given day. And yeah, I don't think I went back there more than once or twice in the last 10 years. So Simon, again, I appreciate you taking the time tonight. I mean, I don't know. I still think we should do something else. Maybe we can do the dealer interview I wanted to do, but maybe we can get Mike to pop in for 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. So maybe we should time something like that. I mean, that would be a lot of fun. I mean, as everybody knows, you and Mike were on the first Comic Art Live we did on one of the panels, and I will be forever appreciative of that. And it was fun. I mean, because I got to be in a, you know, kind of in on that, and it was so much fun listening to Mike talk about his art collection, and it was great. Because I had never met him before, and it was one of the more pleasurable experiences. I mean, I've had many pleasurable experiences with Comic Art Live, but that was one of the best, and one of the first experiences I had that day, you know, with the show, not knowing what was going to happen, and so I'm really grateful, you know, that you guys were willing to experiment with stuff right at the beginning, because that's all it was, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that was great.
Happy to do it.
Yes, and Alfredo, I will call an electrician. You know, I'm just starting to wonder if I didn't like fry this brand new camera I got, because now I'm looking and the lights are not actually flickering now. I think it's something to do with this camera, so I might have messed something up. But at any rate, again, thank you so much, Simon. But let's talk about maybe doing something with Mike. You know, you just briefly. We won't make it be like a long thing, but it'd be cool if we could work that out and tie him into it. It'd be fun, and we could talk. Maybe you could show off some commissions or something as well.
I definitely have some very cool scans that have not made it to CAF or online, as far as I've seen, other than what Mike kind of maybe teased out, and sometimes he doesn't send them out. So I got some good ones.
Cool. All right, that sounds great. Well, all right, I'm going to call it a night then. Simon, again, thank you. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Sorry about my electrical issue here, or whatever my issue is, but I hope to have it fixed by tomorrow night when I do Dueling Dealers with Mike and Anthony again. And I will be on the right side of the mic this time, and not trying to sell myself as well, because that was definitely not my forte. So, all right. But again, thank you so much, Simon, and everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again soon.